Guys, we're going to crack on with the rebuilding of the mill. Now we've got it positioned. So first job now is to clean everything back down on the base and clean the y-axis carriage again. Take the coating of oil off that I put on, because there's obviously dust and stuff that's fallen on all of that now and bits of pieces. So we'll give all of that a really good clean and then start the reassembly process. And I'll probably do that. That's going to be, it's going to take a couple of hours. So I'll do snippets of that. I'll probably put some time lapse in, and when there's anything important around settings, I'll bring you back at that point, and we'll do a bit of talking around what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Right guys, hopefully you saw there on the time lapse, I've screwed back in the feed nut for the lead screw, the lead nut, sorry. Two things about that. One, the adjustment, as is on here where you've got a cap screw and a slot. The adjustment, I realised when I stripped it, was actually the wrong way round. They'd put the adjusting screw facing the front where you can't get to it. So I've spun that round 180 degrees so the adjustment screw is facing the back, so that you can actually get to that without stripping the whole mill to pieces. What I've also done is I've put that in, and it's only just nipped, and there's some slack in there. So what I shall do is I shall put the lead screw back in once I've put the gear and everything else in and lined everything up, and then I'll give that the final nip once everything's in and the lead screw is running right the way through the lead nut, just to make sure that it's absolutely aligned with the lead screw before you tighten that. If you tighten it first and you've got it slightly cockeyed, then it's going to cause problems with that lead screw, and you're going to wear the threads unevenly, probably on the lead screw and in the lead nut. So I'll go back to a time lapse as I carry on with the build, and I'll just keep doing that. Every time there's something sort of that I think is worthy of stopping and a bit of a discussion, I'll stop and discuss what I'm doing and why. Right guys, what I'm doing now, so I've put the y-axis gib back in. We need to think with that's a completely new surface and a completely different fit to the way I took it out. So that is going to take a little while to just bed itself in. But basically, how I'm going to do this and attack this, and I don't know whether this is right or wrong, but just to my sort of engineering brain, this is the way that I think is the right way to do it. So I've moved the whole saddle backwards and forwards, and hopefully you've seen that, and I've nipped the gib a tiny bit each time until I've just got I've got some resistance there now, but it's still reasonably easy to slide on there. So what I'm going to do now, I've just put a clock stand on, and I'm going to check it at each four corners and just see if I can, affect any play. I don't think I'll be able to, but I'm just going to try, and I'm not going to push and shove too hard. Just basically, I'm just looking to see if I've taken all the slop out. If I have, I'm going to leave it at that point, at that adjustment. Then when I put the lead screw in, and obviously I've got then the mechanical advantage of the screw, I might just give that gib screw the tiniest bit more, probably an eighth of a turn up to a quarter of a turn potentially, something like that, and then we'll see what the feel's like with the lead screw in. But that's the way I'm going to attack it. Whether that's right or wrong, but that's the way I'm going to do it. So I'm just going to check this. I'm just going to check this now to see whether I can see any movement on this clock. And there's absolutely nothing. There's no movement in there at all. I'm only going to check front and back, I think, on one side. There's no point checking both sides. I'm also trying to twist corner to corner, see if there's any play that way. No, there's no play in that whatsoever, so that's good. Put my clock out of the way. As you can see there now, that's, you know, nice and free. There's a spot in the middle where it's a tiny bit tight, which is a good thing, because normally as axis swear, if you think about it, most of the work you do is in that centre section, and that bit's normally the bit that goes baggy first and it tightens up at each end. So to have that, the reverse, as a new machine, I think is a really good thing. It obviously, as that centre section does wear slightly, everything's going to become even more tight, if you like, and linear across its full length. So I'm really pleased with that. I'm pleased that there's no play in there at all. I guarantee if I'd not done the work that I've done with the file, the stones, the draw filing of the gib strip, that certainly would not feel like that. It would feel completely different. I'm really pleased with that. So we'll carry on with the build, and I'll just keep bringing you back when there's something interesting. Right guys, that's the Y-axis done. I'm really pleased with that. That feels and looks, it's really nice now. There's no tight spots. It's all nice and smooth. I'm pleased with the build. Hopefully in the time lapse you saw a few little bits and bobs there that I was doing, so you'll have seen when I put these lock screws back in, I just did the end of the screw in the grease pot, popped the ball on the end. It just makes life easier when you're assembling stuff like that. It just sticks the ball to the end, the ball bearing to the end of the screw into the hole that's previously been tapped out and cleaned, so I know it's all clean in there. Interestingly now, previously to doing all the scraping, the draw filing work on the gib strip, it didn't matter how tight I tried to tighten those locks previously, it just wouldn't really lock the axis up. It provided a bit of resistance, is all. But now I've done what I've done, just the tiniest nip there, and that's absolutely solid, just how it should be. So that's good. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. I'm using LN2 grease. It's a lithium based grease, and I know this is going to be controversial because everybody's got their own opinion, and machine tool manufacturers will tell you one thing, and there's a million different types of grease. I'm using this because it's tried and tested. You know, I've had this a long time. You'll see I've nearly finished it. I need to get some more. But it's an automotive grease, and it's designed for automotive applications. So it's got really good corrosion protection, and it's also got good resistance to being washed off, which is, you know, it's absolutely, both of those properties are absolutely ideal for the application here. So, you know, it is a lithium-based grease, and it's just a standard, you know, standard grease. You know, no fancy colours or anything like that. But it's a million times better than casting sand and paint. Believe me, it's a fantastic slideway now. That I'm really pleased with it, and I'm also pleased that, you know, with the clock, I just can't get any movement. It's I'm chuffed with that. So if the x-axis goes the same, which I'm about to start now, then I think we're going to be in good shape. So I'll crack on with the x-axis, and I'll probably time lapse some of that. And again, I'll not bring you back this time because it's all the same stuff. There's nothing different. I'll just probably do it all on a time lapse, and I might cut some bits of that out because otherwise the videos are going to get ridiculously long. But I'll keep filming, and I'll make it all sort of hang together when I edit it. we go, guys. That's everything built back together. I had a bit of an issue here with the roll pin in there. What I didn't do was I didn't look at the hole before I started putting the roll pin in, and it appears that the guy who drilled the hole was the same guy who painted the red stuff, and you know, he was either half cut or he wasn't paying much attention. So the aluminium sleeve there with the slots in it for the hand wheel only fits on one way on both ends because the hole's been drilled at, well, any kind of angle. But anyway, we managed to get that back out, no bother in the end, and cleaned it all back up, turned it round, put the roll pin back in. So we're in business, I think. So the next thing now, I left all the wax paper on the table right from day one. I've never moved it. So what I'm going to do, and I should do it off camera because I'm sure you guys don't want to see me peeling all of that wax paper off. It's not that exciting. So I'll do all that off camera, and I need to clean this slot out here that holds the stops, the traverse stops, and I'll need to put the traverse stop back in this end, and they work up against this bracket that I've just fitted just now. And then I'm going to give the whole thing then a good wipe down. You know, you can see down the base where oil's been running down and whatnot from assembly, so I'm going to give it all a good clean, thorough clean. I'm going to put some oil in all the oil points, even though I'm happy there's oil everywhere there needs to be oil, because of the way I've built it. And then I'll refit the rubber protector at the back here that protects the Y-axis lead screw from getting rubbish on it. I'll do all that off camera because it's just nuts and bolts, there's nothing exciting with that. And then I'll have a bit of a breather and take stock and work out what we're going to do next. I think the next job will be to drop the head back down to its lowest position and refit the motor. And then I've got a bit of wiring work to do, just to rewire the motor and sort the limit switch wires out from where the guard was, so I need to fix that, and then we're probably about ready for the big plug-in and the big switch on. So and obviously I'll do that on camera, so I'll bring you back in a bit when I've had a bit of a clean up. Well guys, there we go. That took some cleaning. That really did take some cleaning. So the wax paper just didn't peel off, it had to be almost scraped off. I don't know whether it's because it's been on there a long time or what. And then also in this front T-slot and also in the centre T-slot there's some porosity, and then right in the bottom of the T-slot. And obviously the Chinese way around that is to just pour loads and loads of epoxy in and just leave it so that it's stuck up so high that you would never even get a T-nut in there. So I've had to, the only thing I could get really in there was a sort of screwdriver and hammer, really, just to try and chip it out and level it off. So I've done all of that, and then I've had a file in on all the edges of the T-slot, not to take any material off, but just to take lumps, bumps, burrs and things like that off. The bed's been stoned. All of the crap and horrible grease has been taken off the whole thing now, and it's had an oil up. So I've dropped the head. Next thing we're going to do is fit the motor back in into the top. I've just had a quick wipe out, nothing special, so it's all going to be coming back off again in a few weeks. So we're just going to drop the motor in now, and I'll bring you back when we're doing that. Well, there you go guys, that's the motor back on. you can see now why I wouldn't have got a Bridgeport in here, can't you? It's probably 200mm clearance off the ceiling. I'd no idea, to be fair, when I looked at this online, that this thing was actually as tall as it is when it's on the stand, which is a good thing, because if you look at the gap I've got between spindle and table, it's you know, it's got some decent capacity, which is one of the things that sort of convinced me that this was the right one. So I'm out of breath. I've been winding that spindle all the way up. The ram, sorry. So we're wired up. The only thing I've not done is the 2 wires from the interlock off the guard. Now I'm going to guess that that's normally closed to run, and if it's a broken circuit as it is at the minute, it won't work. Now that's all 24 volts, so there's nothing too dangerous about that at the minute. So I'm just going to leave that as it is. We're going to plug it in and have the big switch on, and then we'll see if we've got any power to the spindle. If we haven't, then what I'll do is kill the power again, and we'll go into the back of the electrical box, and I'm just going to make that a permanently connected connection there, and just tuck the wire out of the way inside the electrical box. And then we're about there really. I've got to put the 3 handles in on the quill, and then I think it's pretty much at the point then when I'm going to stick a vise on, get something in the spindle, and take the first cut. So it feels like it's been an absolute age, but I realise it's only been a couple of weeks really since it arrived. So I think we've done fairly well to get it in the state it's in. I'm reasonably happy with it. The true test, of course, will be when we get a cut on. So I'm just going to power it up, and we'll see what happens. And I don't knock the tripod over.